Indra. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9. Rishi Madhuchandas Vaishwamitra. Devata Indra. Chandas Gayatri. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9. Rik 1.
Indra himasyam daso visneभिस्तो paparvaभिः महाभृष्टिरोजसा.
Indra, surely do come. Do get intoxicated with soma extracts, with all joints of soma, the mighty who comes to assist with vigor. Indra cannot exceed the bounds of natural laws. The oft-mentioned Soma libations, along with chanting of hymns, being a means of inducing rain and making water available in abundance to all life forms, must most certainly indicate the effectiveness of the practice for the purpose that it is employed. Apart from its collateral effect of instilling a sense of discipline in the minds of humans, aiding in the blossoming of their consciousness. The fact that the Rigveda has survived the march of time across thousands of years is an endorsement of this practice. If it would not so, the cited text would not have withstood the ravages of time and would have blended into its impregnable and opaque mists long ago. There must be corollaries to the rules of this method as well. For instance, indicating the time of day most suitable for its execution, the seasons during which it may not work, and perhaps even a method of stopping excessive rain causing flood and destruction. Laws have limitations, as it is an imperative character of existence. All laws work under ideal conditions, and reality is surely nowhere near this ideal locally, even though the universe as a whole may yet be. Even Indra, conceptual or personified, cannot exceed the limits of natural law and constantly makes use of his feedback mechanisms to regulate anomalies and maintain equilibrium, and therefore justifying his being in the logic-bound minds of mortals. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 2.
ये मेनं सृजता सुते मन्दिमिन्द्राय मन्दिने चक्रिम् विश्वानि चक्राये.
Now, verily do release in the soma extract this intoxicant for rapturous Indra, for the active universal doer. Recycling, the universal motto. One of the salient features of any stable regulatory system is recycling. The system integrant being recycled can be information, matter, energy, the entire process of the system, or any combination of these integrants. An example is the system formed by the atmosphere terrestrial life combine, where plant life processes atmospheric carbon dioxide releasing oxygen, while animal life processes atmospheric oxygen releasing carbon dioxide. The water cycle is another example. The appellation Chakri assigned to Indra is an indicator that the people at the time of advent of the Rigveda possessed this understanding and imagined the manner of operations of Indra to be cyclical, hence the epithet. Interestingly, the active extracts of the soma plant are also referred to by the same appellation, as this too is an active participant in the cyclical processes wherever it is used. The word chakri also alludes to the third law of motion, which states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, which is the essence of karmic law, sans its ominous overtones. Indra has to live this law in letter and spirit for the faultless discharge of duties assigned to him. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 3.
मत्स्वादुषिप्रमन्दिभिस्तो मेभिर्विश्वदर्शने सचैषु सवनेष्वा.
Do get exhilarated, strong-jawed, with exhilarating hymns, all-seeing, do surely associate upon these soma extracts. Responsibilities of immortals and prerogatives of mortals. Personification of notions is a windfall for those with very expressive propensities. It enables the entire spectrum of human activities, characteristics, and mannerisms to be garnered for the purpose of their articulatory formulations, which they indulge in with abandon. It is for the discerning to sift through these ornamental trimmings to get to the underlying principles upon which the narrative is woven, colored, packaged, presented, and even sold. But it must be said of Vedic composers that their choice of adjectives, adverbs, and epithets are ideal making the job of discernment quite uncomplicated. The epithet for Indra used in this verse, strong jawed, appears to allude to the fact that food, when chewed properly, will digest well and will provide optimal benefit to the one who ingests it. In other words, it points to the thoroughness and focus of Indra in his actions. To obtain maximum assistance from the Soma libations to make rain or shower grace upon mortals, Indra must assimilate offerings well. The verse probably highlights the importance of homogeneity of integrants in any functional aggregate for its optimal performance. Also, intoxication here is referred to in the context of becoming exultantly vigorous, not obtusely and carelessly dull. Guess the latter expression is an exclusive mortal prerogative. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 4.
असृग्रमिन्द्र ते गिरः प्रजित्वा मुदहासत अजोषा वृषभम् पतिम्
I released invocations for you, Indra. They surely moved upwards towards you, insatiable bull lord. The path to consciousness passes through the domain of duality. Knowledge and its use, referred to as science and technology, are explained in tandem in this verse in a particular context. The science here is the knowledge of the action of soma extracts upon clouds to cause precipitation, while the oblation offered into the sacrificial fire is the technology used for reaching those extracts along with vibrations of the chant and the intent therein to the floating clouds and flowing truth streams that are figuratively herded by Indra. Heated air that has lower density and pressure rises up into the sky, replaced by their denser and colder counterparts below. Once the heated draft of air reaches its intended destination, the low-flying, rain-bearing cumulonimbus and nimbostratus clouds, aloft at between 2,000 and 8,000 meters from Earth's surface, science takes over, keeping Indra and his retinue of assisting gods busy and insatiable for more of what comes up from the ground and also more work. Figuratively, again, the bull lord goes about impregnating the wombs of the herd or clouds and the truth streams, inducing them to have offspring in the form of rain and grace showered down upon the invokers. Drawing a parallel between the seeking of material prosperity and striving for the experience of blissful consciousness and attempting to achieve both through a single process is perhaps an inevitable necessity because the mysterious notion of singularity can be understood and appreciated only with a reasonable knowledge of duality and its complexities. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 5.
सञ्चोदय चित्रमर्वाघ्राध इन्द्रवरेण्यम् असदित्ते विभुः प्रभो.
Together do urge downwards manifold desirable wealth. Indra, let it be entirely yours, omnipresent Master. Self-control and the spirit of sacrifice. The spirit of sacrifice and the oneness of the universe is starkly conveyed through this verse. Indra is for the entire universe, and in our limited perspective, for all of earth, which is our immediate universe. It is meant to be conveyed that the wealth that Indra sends down as rain and grace from the clouds is entirely his, that he shares unreservedly with all life forms. It can be said that this is only a perspective, an emotional one at that, and perhaps a distorted picturization of reality. However, this manner of thought has an important utility. It instills in us, or at least meant to instill, a similar sense of unreserved sharing of resources with all. Its utility is that it reduces tendencies that lead to strife, unhealthy competitions, and unrest, and establish a reasonably egalitarian society, or simply put, it promotes peace and tranquility in satisfying measures. It can perhaps be deduced that peace is more a product of self-control rather than of imposed encumbrances. Is this not what society as a whole aspires for? Further, true peace or equilibrium begets more of itself by the karmic law, while strife begets more of itself too. For that is indeed the way. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 6.
अस्मान् सुतत्र चोदयेन्द्र राजेन भस्वतः सुविद्यम् नयसस्वतः.
Then do urge us to good wealth, Indra, many splendored, determined, worthy. Time, the spirit of supreme singularity. The wealth sought from the atmospheric Indra is undoubtedly water and grace in abundance. Other manner of wealth being a consequence of the possession of these fundamental needs of life and can be done without too. The seeming self-glorification of the water and grace seekers is not an exercise in pretension or audacity, but a statement of fact. Indra has no choice but being determined and worthy, and the seekers regarding what they seek. For without water and grace, the seekers perish at the worst and suffer at the best. This verse perhaps also refers to a less than 100% efficacy of this rain-making and grace-seeking technology, a feeling that the seer instills by the use of the verb to urge, despite Indra being commended as many splendored, determined, and worthy, which must be true of any activity. Intermittent adverse exigencies in enterprises are an edict rather than an exception. Murphy's Law should surely have been at play since time immemorial, the said individual having lent his name to it only in very recent times, not realizing its antiquity or due to other unspecified extraneous reasons. Murphy's law works on probabilities and can be deemed to be a limiting case of the universally applicable natural law, which works on certainties directed by dharma, that is to be done, and karma, that is done, as ordained by time. Logically, then, time must be the supreme singularity itself. Indra and the gods being subservient to it, despite their attribute of immortality. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 7.
सङ्गो वाजिन्द्रवाजवदस्मे पृथुस्रवो बृहत् विश्वायुर्धेत्यक्षीतम्
Indra, omnipresent, do uphold for us altogether wide hearing and great perception, consisting of enduring treasures. Attributes of singularity. Indra is likened to the unmanifest supreme singularity, whose manifest omnipresence is the multiplicity that we see as reality. In the context of reality, the omnipresent is associated with the six attributes: total sovereignty, valor, honor, prosperity, knowledge, and passion. However, in the context of the unmanifest singularity, attributes have no meaning as there is nothing to compare it with. It has sovereignty as there are no before or beyond. It does not know valor or cowardice as there is nothing to express it against. All is integral to it, so integrity is meaningless in its frame of reference. Prosperity, too, is a relative notion which does not apply to a state of being that transcends relationality. Knowledge, in the realm of reality, represents a process of acquisition of understanding, while in a singularity there are no processes and nothing to understand. Passion, too, like honor, requires an object, which is a quality of duality. With no other in singularity, there is nothing to be passionate or dispassionate about. The verse underscores the ephemerality and relative existence of mortals and the permanence of the unmanifest singularity. Hearing and discriminative perception make this understanding possible. Indra is urged to bestow these qualities in abundance so that it endures. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 8.
अस्मेधे यस्रवो बृहद्युम्नम् सहस्रसातमम् इन्द्रतारथिनीरिषाः
Indra, do uphold in us vast hearing, thus the splendor of permanence, these carriages of wishes. Proportions, bestowers, and recipients. This verse too can be seen as the recognition and application of the adage, there is no such thing as a free lunch, which is also an endorsement of the third law of motion, also known as the karmic law. Supplicants offer oblations with praises and in return seek knowledge of the truth and prosperity. Humankind can perhaps be pardoned for the preposterous notion that they may nurture of being in a position to pay for their lunch and eat it too in isolation. As long as they share their lunch with all life forms and for the well-being of all creation, they may be pardoned for it. Not doing so will have its consequences, while surely doing so will too. Karmic law, in the garb of time, records, formulates, and dispenses ramifications according to its unfathomable wisdom and its unpredictable pace of delivery. What is being sought is not just a one-time bestowal, but that such bestowals are permanently upheld in us. Perhaps it is a bit too much to ask, or maybe it isn't unfair either, as dictated by the proportions of the immensity of the bestower. The seeker wades in insignificance, while the one sought from is of universal proportions. Each offers the other according to their commensurate means and perspectives. Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 9.
वसोरिन्द्रम् वसोपतिम् गीर्भिर्गृणन्त ऋग्भियम् होमकन्दारमूतये Granting Indra, ruler of wealth, by words with substance, we call upon the praiseworthy coming for assistance. Ideality of truth and non-confirming duality. Though the phrase to grant to Indra seems out of place in this verse, considering the perceivable greatness of Indra and the phenomenon that he personifies, and the insignificance of humans in comparison, and also dwelling some more on the notion of paying for one's lunch and partaking of it, there appears to be some legitimacy to this predilection of thought. Referring to the oft-quoted Upanishadic saying, as the primordial ball of plasma from which it originated,
So is the universe. It can be inferred that the fractal character of the universe has been observed and recorded from the days of yore. In principle, what comes out of the whole is also the whole. Hence, a correspondence on equal terms may be established between Indra and us, individually or collectively, albeit in complete humility and understanding its true import. Symbolically speaking, this equation of correspondence has an equal to sign between the two objects in focus, and not a less than or greater than or an unequal to. This, then, is the spirit of the verse. It is both the recognition of the in principle equality between the gods and mortals, as well as the acceptance that this equality is just that, in principle. Mortal reality or duality has its own peculiar paradigms. Perhaps reconciling both is what life and living is all about.
Mandalam 1, Suktam 9, Rik 10.
सुते सूतेऽन्योऽनसे बृहद्बृहदये धरिः इन्द्राय शोषमर्चति.
In every libation for the vast eternal dweller of greatness, surely indeed pious man resoundingly does honor to Indra. Everything in existence may be alive. The difference between life and non-life, defined by a viewpoint of contemporary thought, is that in the non-life realm, chemical reactions happen spontaneously, directed by characteristics and impulses from within the reacting molecules or compounds. Whereas in life forms, they do so upon impulses provided from an information based external source, like the DNA of the living. If the location of the source of impulse and the information it contains were to be considered as the fundamental notion that differentiates life and non life, then it may be construed that the practice of chanting invocations that contain information on what is sought and from whom by one life form, that is us, to another, Indra, the personified regulatory system of the atmosphere, are impulses meant to promote the physical and chemical processes that impel precipitation of water and grace. A rough estimate, given ideal conditions, of heated and treated air from a large fire altar reaching low-flying clouds at 2000 meters is about 20 minutes. This heated air carries the vibrations or information of the chants recited aloud by a group of individuals along with the soma extracts as catalysts to the arena of intended action. The information and ingredients carried by the rising air column initiate the targeted process. This could be a probable explanation of the dynamics involved in Vedic rainmaking and grace seeking technology and the underlying notion that everything in existence is alive, or at least as alive as we deem it to be.